Malaysia. You're watching News at 10. I'm Brendan Lepal, making the headlines tonight. Full PT-PTN loan for borrowers from M40 households. And sufficient supply of essentials during monsoon season necessary. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob today announced that the National Higher Education Fund Corporation PT-PTN loan for students in M40, M1 group will be increased from 75 to 100%. Now, the government, he said, also agreed to provide loans for the purchase of laptops to PT-PTN borrowers in the M40 group. He said the move was among efforts by the government to protect the interests of Keluarga Malaysia students.
Kalau dulu pinjaman kepada M40, M1 adalah hanya 75% saja. Saya ingin mengumumkan di sini bahawa untuk pinjaman kepada M40, M40, M1 kita akan bukan saja 75%, tetapi dinaikkan kepada 100%. Seterusnya adalah untuk laptop. Untuk laptop, kerajaan bersetuju untuk menyediakan kemudahan pinjaman laptop kepada peminjam PT-PTN golongan M40.
When opening the Semara Patriotic IPT 2022 at University Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia (UPNM) today, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also said the Keluarga Malaysia Cheap Sale program will be held at every Institute of Higher Learning (IPT) from next month to address the issue of the rising cost of living among students. On another matter, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the Public Accounts Committee (PAC) has the right to summon any department or agency to seek an explanation regarding the delay in the delivery of 3 offshore patrol vessels (OPV) to the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency (MMEA). The Prime Minister also said that it was up to the PAC if they want to expedite its proceedings on the issue.
PAC tersebut, dan PAC berhak untuk memanggil mana-mana jabatan ataupun agensi kerajaan, kementerian dan sebagainya kalau ada isu yang berkaitan yang perlu mendapat penjelasan. Kita dimaklumkan dalam pembinaan dan sepatutnya sudah pun siap dalam waktu terdekat ini, sepatutnya akan siap dalam waktu terdekat. Jadi kita tunggulah, kita tunggu. Saya pun tidak mendapat gambaran yang detail lagi pasal OPV tersebut.
In a statement on 13 September, the MMEA said the 3 OPV that should have been handed over to the MMEA in 2020 were still under construction. Its Director General, Maritime Admiral Datuk Muhammad Zubil Matsom said the OPV were being built by a local company, THHE, Destiny Sendiran Berhad in Pulau Indah, Selangor. Former MIC President and long-time Minister Tun S. Samivelu died this morning. He was 86. His death was announced by another MIC veteran, Tan Sri Dr. S. Supramaniam. Tun Samivelu was the 7th MIC President and also the Ethnic Indian Party's longest-serving, holding the position for 31 years. He was Sungai Sipur MP from September 1974 to March 2008 and among the longest-serving ministers, lasting 29 years. He served as Works Minister from 1979 to 1989. He was the Energy, Telecommunications and Posts Minister from 1989 to 1995 before taking over the Works Ministry once again from 1995 to 2008. Tun Samivelu also served under 3 Prime Ministers during his time in the Cabinet, namely Tun Hussein On, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi. Tun Samivelu had contributed a lot to developing the infrastructure sector of Malaysia throughout his stint in leading the Works Ministry, and his services will definitely be remembered forever. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riyatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Haja Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria have expressed their Majesty's condolences to the family of Tun S. Samivelu. A post on the Istana Negara Facebook account said Their Majesty described his passing as a tremendous loss to the nation. Their Majesties expressed sadness at the passing of the former MIC President and Works Minister and hope that family members would be resilient in their moment of grief. Their Majesties also greatly appreciate Tun Samivelu's services, deeds and sacrifices to the community and nation. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob also said that the country lost a great leader today with the passing of Tun Samivelu. He said the late Tun Samivelu previously succeeded in uniting the Indian community in Malaysia, apart from championing the fate of the community.
Negara kehilangan pemimpin yang hebat seperti Tun. Jasanya amat besar. Bukan sahaja kepada seluruh masyarakat India di Malaysia, tetapi jasanya amat besar kepada negara dari segi pembangunan sepanjang menjadi Menteri Kerja Raya. Jadi banyak sumbangan yang telah pun diberikan. Dan dari segi masyarakat India, kita boleh menganggap Tun merupakan bapa penyatuan kepada masyarakat India di Malaysia.
The Jihad Against Inflation Special Task Force wants sufficient supply of necessities in states expected to be affected by floods and no hike in the prices. Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs KPDN HEP Minister Datuk Sri Alexander Nantalingi said the National Disaster Management Agency NADMA and the relevant agencies must also ensure this. Datuk Sri Alexander, who chaired the task force meeting in Putrajaya today, said NADMA, the Agriculture and Food Industries Ministry, MAFI, and his ministry must ensure no price increase of basic necessities in the flood-affected states. He said preparations in facing the floods were made in line with the announcement made by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob on activating the District Disaster Management Committees JPBD in facing the northeast monsoon.
Mesyuarat telah mengarahkan NADMA, MAFI dan KPDSP untuk bersiap sedia dalam memastikan bekalan barangan keperluan sentiasa mencukupi, terutama di negeri-negeri yang dijangka terjejas tanpa memberi kesan yang ketara terhadap harga barang-barang keperluan tersebut.
The northeast monsoon usually brings heavy rain, which often results in major floods, especially in the east coast states. About 300 of the 500 flood warning sirens nationwide are being upgraded to enable warning signals to be delivered more effectively to local residents. Department of Irrigation and Drainage JPS Director General Dr. Matnase Matnoh said the warning sirens would have a loud and different sound than police or ambulance sirens and would be followed by announcements to alert residents that there would be flooding in their area. He said the siren volume will be increased and the system will be equipped with public announcements. Dr. Matnase said prior to this, no announcement was made and the sirens are installed in critical areas throughout the country.
Upgrade sebenarnya. Siren yang sedia ada yang lama tu biasanya bunyi dia tahu kuat yang tak lama. Dan kebanyakan dah biasa dengar bunyi tu dengan ingat macam musim COVID ni macam bunyi ambulan. Jadi kita upgrade, kita Tambahkan kuasa bunyi tu. Dan after that ada announcement.
On Monday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa Yaakob said the Central Disaster Management Committee meeting agreed that the early warning siren should be different from other sirens, such as ambulances and police patrol cars, so as to avoid confusion. The Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, noted that the northeast monsoon season will bring continued heavy rains that will lead to major flooding, especially in the East Coast states. Heavy rains are expected in Kelantan, Terengganu and Pahang from November to December 2022, while Johor, Sabah and Sarawak will face the monsoon from December 2022 to January 2023. Coming up next, MOE to obtain clarification on election briefing for teachers. Stay with us. The Ministry of Education, MOE, will seek further clarification from the Election Commission, EC, regarding an allegation that teachers were called to attend an election briefing session during school hours. Senior Education Minister Dr. Rasmi said the real duty of teachers during school hours is to be in their respective schools.
Secara umumnya walaupun pihak SPR nak adakan taklimat, we know that SPR faham bahawa kalau guru-guru pada waktu itu bertugas, maka keutamaan adalah untuk guru-guru bertugas di sekolah masing-masing. Itu keutamaan. Ya, kerana kalau tidak nanti kalau dibuat taklimat panggil satu sekolah, siapa nak jaga anak-anak kita di sekolah? I think SPR understand that. Cuma kes ini saya nak kena semak apakah konteks kes tersebut, ya.
He said this to reporters after launching the Sepak Takraw strengthening program in Putrajaya today. A news portal reported a complaint from a representative of the Parent Teacher Association, PTA, of a school in Kajang who claimed that the EC forced teachers to attend a general election briefing session during school hours, which caused most teachers to be unable to teach. Dr. Rasmi said if it is necessary to give a briefing to the teachers, then a schedule for them to attend the session will be detailed to ensure that the real work at the school is uninterrupted. Adding that the MOE will always work with the EC to find a middle ground regarding the matter. Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, MAHB, saw 55 out of the 89 or 62% of foreign airlines resuming operations at all 5 international airports in Malaysia since the reopening of international borders on 1st April 2022. The airports include KL International Airport, Langkawi International Airport, Penang International Airport, Kota Kinabalu International Airport and Kuching International Airport. In a statement today, the airport operator said this had led to the group registering 1.7 million international passenger movements in August 2022 for its Malaysia operations, which is a 7.1% increase from the preceding month. MAHB also noted that among the airlines that introduced new international destinations last month were Batik Air Malaysia, which commenced operations to Phuket from KLIA with 7 flights weekly, and Malaysia Airlines Berhad that commenced 2 new direct services from KLIA to Haneda, Japan, with 2 flights weekly. Kota Kinabalu International Airport, meanwhile, launched flights to Singapore with 3 flights weekly, while Firefly resumed flights to Phuket from Penang International Airport with 4 flights weekly. For international passenger movements for the group's Turkey A operations, the group shared that it had also increased by 4.9% to 1.5 million, arising from the summer holiday period. In other news, police believe that a feud among drug syndicate members has led to the abduction of a 36-year-old cosmetics agent from her home in Tumpan on Tuesday. Following the incident, Acting Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Zaki Harun said police have detained 3 individuals, including the victim's husband and a woman. He said early investigations also revealed that the victim, who knew her kidnappers, had been taken to Thailand by 4 suspects, including those detained.
Tapi setelah siasatan dibuat, kita dapati suami kepada wanita ini ada terlibat dalam satu sindiket yang menyalahi undang-undang. Dan hasil itu, Ketua Jabatan Siasatan Jenayah telah mengadakan beberapa perbincangan dengan beberapa jabatan, termasuk dengan pihak Bukit Aman, dan kita telah mengadakan operasi secara besar-besaran untuk mengesan di mana wanita ini berada. Dan kita juga telah menghubungi counterpart kita di negara jiran untuk sama-sama membantu sekiranya wanita ini telah berada di negara jiran.
Dr. Muhammad Zaki added that a multi-purpose vehicle, which was believed to have been used to commit the crime, was found abandoned near an illegal jetty in Kuala Jambu, also in Tumpat. He said the three, aged 35 to 47, had been remanded until Saturday. Former Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL Senior Deputy Director Sabuddin Muhammad Saleh was overwhelmed with emotions and broke down in tears after being freed for the second time on 2 charges of obtaining a bribe amounting to 200,000 ringgit for the issuance of work permits. The first time was on 18 December 2020 when the Sessions Court ordered his release after finding the prosecution had failed to raise a prima facie case against him. The prosecution then appealed to the High Court, and last 24 March, it ordered the case to be reverted back to the Sessions Court for Sabuddin to enter his defence. At today's proceedings, Judge Rosina Ayub acquitted and discharged Sabuddin of the 2 charges after finding that the prosecution had failed to prove the case. Deputy Public Prosecutor Dato' Wan Shaharuddin Wan Ladin prosecuted, while lawyer K. Teiva Indran represented Sabuddin. On both the charges, Sabuddin, who was then Senior Deputy Director at the DBKL Civil Engineering and Urban Transport Division, was charged with corruptly receiving a bribe of 200,000 ringgit in cash from Wong Mei Kwan, a subcontractor of Dusari Niaga, tasked with grinding and resurfacing works for DBKL as an inducement for him to issue work permits to Dusari Niaga. Sabuddin, meanwhile, has another case pending involving 6 charges of corruption, which is still at the prosecution stage before Sessions Court Judge Azura Alwi. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob today visited the British High Commissioner's residence in Kuala Lumpur, offering condolences over the passing of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri also signed the condolence book as a mark of respect for the Queen, who died on 8 September at the age of 96. Earlier, on his arrival at 3:55 p.m, British High Commissioner to Malaysia, Charles Hay, and Deputy Foreign Minister, Datuk Kamaruddin Jaffar, welcomed the Prime Minister. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri spent over 30 minutes at the High Commissioner's residence. Meanwhile, Hay said he was touched by the message of condolence from the Prime Minister, as well as the outpouring of affection and respect by Malaysians from all walks of life. According to media reports, the Queen's body is now in London, where it will lie in state until the state funeral service at Westminster Abbey on 19 September. Her Majesty will be buried alongside her husband, Prince Philip. And in sports, Muhammad Iqbal Hassan stylishly delivers Pahang's first Sukma goal. Long-distance runner Muhammad Iqbal Hassan Mat Kamal Hussein presented the Pahang contingent with their first goal at the 20th Malaysia Games, Sukma, in style after winning the men's 10,000 metres at the National Stadium in Bukit Jalil today. The 20-year-old athlete from Cameron Highlands, who is making his Sukma debut at this edition, gained victory with his time of 31 minutes and 11.62 seconds. The silver medal was won by Selangor athlete S. Dinesh Varma with a time of 33 minutes, 33.69 seconds, while the bronze belonged to B. Ruveshwaran from Pulau Pinang with 34 minutes, 13.07 seconds. However, Muhammad Iqbal Hassan's time was not recognized as a new games record despite surpassing the previous Sukma record of 31 minutes, 47.95 seconds that has lasted 26 years, held by A. Munusami, who set it in the 1996 Pahang edition. According to Sukma's Chief Technical Delegate V. Govindasamy, this was due to the decision made by the National Sports Council not to recognize any entry as a new record given that the age limit for this edition has been extended to 23 years. In football, the Malaysia Super League, that is, Terengganu FC TFC bounced back from their FA Cup disappointment to crush bottom club Penang FC 3-0 at the Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin Stadium in Gong Bada last night. In the match played under a heavy downpour, TFC opened accounts through a superb strike by Muhammad Faisal Halim in the 37 minutes that gave Penang FC keeper Hafizul Hakim Khairul Nizam Jyoti no chance. TFC increased the lead on the stroke of half-time when Ivory Coast import Cheche Kipre struck in front of the 4,000-odd fans who braved the rain to watch the match. Kipre once again was on target in the final minutes of the match to ensure a 3-0 win. The 3 points earned yesterday saw TFC, coached by Nafuzi Zain, strengthen its fourth position in the table and keep the team's hopes of qualifying for the Asian Football Confederation AFC Cup as the top 3 teams very much alive. Meanwhile, Terengganu FC TFC head coach Nafuzi Zain has hinted that he might no longer be with the Turtles in the Malaysia League, M-League, next season. The young Kelantan-born coach was coy about his new destination, even though there are strong rumours linking him to Selangor and estates in the north of the country. According to the 43-year-old Nafuzi, it is more likely that this year will be his last year with Terengganu because he needs to find new experiences and challenges to develop his career. In addition, he said he has not received any offer to continue as head coach from the management of TFC Sendirian Berhad. Nafuzi said that his 7 years with Terengganu squad was a long time, which made him feel a bit reluctant to leave the state. He added that he is determined to perform his duties as best as possible to ensure that TFC can advance to the final of the Malaysia Cup and that their dream of competing in the Asia Cup next season is fulfilled. He joined the Terengganu squad as T-team coach in 2016 before being promoted to TFC assistant coach in 2018. In 2019, he took over as TFC's head coach from Irfan Bakti Abu Salim, who resigned following a poor performance in the Super League and remained at the helm of the Turtles until this season. The news at 10 in our top story, full PTPTN loan for borrowers from M40 households. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Until then, it's lights out. I'm Brendan Lepal. Salam keluarga Malaysia. And from all of us at RTM, happy Malaysia Day. Take care and stay safe.